If there is one unit that I feel has been on a punching bag for Bushiroad when it comes to the unit that the anime cast actually used, I can safely say Liael is definitely the top contender. And some of you might be thinking, wait, isn't Liael normally get a pretty good support to begin with? It is, but for most of the time, I feel like the support that Liael get, regardless of which version you are playing, they has always been getting quite a subpar support. And to make things worse, specifically for Liael Amorta, is that she was designed poorly at the beginning of the Divine's era.
A bold claim.
However, after 2 years, roughly, Liael finally get the form that she deserved, at least in the Keter Sanctuary version of it. How good is she now that she pretty much goes from the blank form to the mighty form? That is exactly what I'm gonna be talking about today. So before we come to understand what Draconis does for the deck, we have to understand what is the problem with Liael Amorta to begin with. And credit due to where it's due, her mechanic is not bad. Ability to guarantee to call the same unit you want to call for additional attack is actually really good, and most of her support kind of facilitate that aspect of it very well. But I feel the main problem with her kind of boils down to the fact that if you do not have any copy of that card in your deck, you are screwed. Liael does address this by having some of the cards or the red line effect being able to return card from their drop back to the bottom of the deck, or return card from bind to the bottom of the deck with a multi skill. It's still not enough, especially considering Liael is a very needy boss in it, as you not only need a lot of soul to make sure that you can pay for all the soul blast costs that all of the very powerful support Liael asks for, but also the deck doesn't really have a lot of strong draw power, so you're relying on essentially just populate your field as soon as possible and close it as soon as possible. But even with all that, there is one biggest flaw that Liael Amorta has that I feel it, in my opinion, was insulting for her alone, even if it is kind of matching the law, and that is the fact that this card was side grade upgrade to Raziel. Yes, her ability to use herself as a PG is a really powerful skill and a way for you to recycle cards from bind back to your deck. The problem with this skill is that this means that Liael technically only have 2 skills. The defensive skill is nice, but in a deck that doesn't really have a lot of resource to begin with, it definitely struggle, especially you have to sacrifice your personal right to actually play Liael Amorta. And it is clear, Bushiroad is fully aware of that as well, and that's why we finally get pretty much the true form of Keter Liael, Fated One of Sacred Time, Liael Draconis. This unit has 3 abilities, where the first ability is act once per turn, Energy Blast 4, bind a normal unit from your card circle or drop, choose a card from your hand and discard it. This unit get additional drive until end of turn. Do not discard is not a cost, it's a part of the effect. Then auto on main card circle, when this unit attack, counter blast 1, choose one of your red card and bind it. Then search your deck for up to 1 card with the same card name as any cards in your bind zone, call it to red card circle and shuffle the deck. And then of course, Divine skill, at the end of the battle this unit attack, if your opponent rank card is grade 3 or greater, choose a grade 3 or greater card with Liael in its card name from your drop, and you may write it as stand. If you do, this unit drive become 1 until end of turn. If there is one thing I can say about Liael Draconis, is the fact that they finally make a Liael that is a lot more playable than they think they have made before. For one, both of the skill that kind of inherited from Amorta is so much better now, as now you don't have to superior call a specific unit that you bind during the skill. You can call anything as long as it is in bind zone. And then we come to the first skill. A lot of people might call this kind of bad, but hear me out on this one. Giving additional drive to Liael means so much for her, as the deck does compress quite well, which means that triple drive will come in handy in checking out those triggers even if you send a lot of cards back to deck often as well. Not only that, you can bind unit from your red card or drop, allowing cards like Idiras to trigger early, allowing your Liael to hit for a better number to begin with, before you can use another Idiras to essentially just stack Liael even higher than before. And of course, buying from drop really helps the deck as well, as it allows you to discard the card that you want it to be in the bind zone as a part of the target you can use for later on, allowing you to essentially pretty much reduce the strain on on the main weakness of Liael Immorta. The only drawback with this card is obviously the Energy Blast 4, as this means that it pretty much blocks out not only its own Energy Blast support, but also anything else that require Energy Blast, which is a little bit of a shame, because if there is one card that Liael do love to run in most of their builds, is definitely Biscotti, as it allows you to get a little bit of early game hand much earlier. So does Draconis makes Liael better? Absolutely. Is it gonna be meta?
Possibly.
Even if Draconis fix pretty much everything that is wrong with Immorta, it doesn't really fix the other inherent problem that the deck has. The deck still require a lot of pieces to make it work, and you also require a lot of soul. Though, credit due to as do, the deck plays so much better now. And yes, I'm fully aware that there is another triple R for Liael that came out recently, but I feel it is a nice touch to have, but you rather run things like Sergaon or Gargaon to recover your resource so that you can kind of pull off all of this combo a lot more consistently. But what do you guys think? Is this the Liael you deserve? Cause I can safely say now, Liael Draconis is finally on the same ground as Liael Odium. But what do you guys think? Do leave down in comments below. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, don't forget to clap that sub, and become a member for some cool perks. This is Mac Megane, signing out.
Yeah.